Welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, and today I'll be talking about the differences between tarot and oracle cards. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. All right, so today for our main discussion, I'll be talking about the difference between tarot and oracle cards. So first I'll start with tarot. So tarot cards often have more structure. They have a major and minor arcana and are sort of like a deck of cards. So if you don't know and you're maybe new to this, tarot is a type of cartomancy. So cartomancy is the practice of using a deck of cards to foretell the future or gain insight into events. People who practice cartomancy might be called cartomancers, card readers, or readers. And cartomancy falls under kind of the larger umbrella of divination, which is the practice of using various techniques to gain insight into a situation or question, often by attempting to foretell the future. So tarot is said to have been started in the 15th century in Europe as a pack of playing cards with Italian roots. The decks and games spread to most of Europe, but sort of looked different in every country. And in the late 18th century, French occultists began creating custom decks for use in divination or tarot reading, and this is sort of the beginning of the usage of the cards that we see today. Most tarot decks that you will find are styled based off of the Waite-Smith deck, also known as the Rider-Waite deck. This is a very popular deck and easily accessible. It was first published in 1909. It was designed by Arthur E. Waite and illustrated by Pamela Colman Smith. So often Pamela Colman Smith isn't referenced in the history of who created tarot to be what it is today. Even those style of decks are often called Rider-Waite decks. So after Rider-Waite, Arthur E. Waite. And her name is often left out completely. I will refer to this style as Waite-Smith decks in order to include the artist, since she created the famous iconography that we see most often replicated today in tarot decks. So when we think about the structure of a tarot deck, the Waite-Smith deck, like many others, usually contains 78 cards and is divided into two sections. So the first has 22 cards and is known as the Major Arcana. Arcanum is a Latin word which means secret or history, or mystery. Hence, the major arcana are sort of the great secrets, and each card in this group has a name. So, for example, the High Priestess, the Lovers, the Moon, the Sun, and it begins with the Fool, usually numbered 0, and ends with the World, numbered 21. The second portion of the deck consists of 56 cards and is called the Minor Arcana. This section is similar to a deck of cards you might use to play card games with. It's divided into 4 suits of 14 cards each, generally seen as wands, cups, swords, and pentacles, although some of those are different in different decks. Each suit contains cards numbered 1 through 10, and then they each have 4 court cards, so like page, knight, queen, king, and that's sort of the basic structure to a tarot deck. So, sort of the other side of this are oracle decks. Oracle decks generally have, like by name, don't have any particular structure. There's lots of possibilities. Like decks can be different lengths. Some might have 20 cards, some might have 100 cards. In some ways, this can make them more accessible, right? Like there's no, I would say, sort of like learning required. You don't have to sort of know the structure or anything like that. You can kind of buy a deck, find it, and start immediately. I just recently bought my first Oracle deck in November of 2024 in Beacon, New York, so I don't have as much familiarity with them, I'll be honest. And every Oracle deck is different. So, in some ways it's not necessary to know anything going in, and every deck's going to be different. So, even if you know how one deck works, that doesn't mean it's really going to lend or give you any extra knowledge about how another deck might work. So just like anecdotally, I would say when I meet people who are into sort of witchy stuff, magic, they have a preference usually for tarot or oracle decks. I've heard some folks say that, oh, I don't like rules, so they really like oracle decks for that reason. Whereas I think some people crave the predictability of a tarot deck, because different decks might vary a lot in art or even like name, but they usually have like a similar structure. So if you're looking to get into tarot or oracle decks and aren't sure where to start, I would suggest finding like your local witchy store and see if they have a section for decks. My favorite stores have like a store copy of decks that usually are open that you can look through, like touch them, look at them, go through and make sure you like the vibe and the artwork of it. I have purchased decks online before. I would say to sort of mixed success. Sometimes I thought I would enjoy it, and when I received them, I really didn't like them, or I have a deck that is a little more like available to me now. Like I bought it, it was my second deck. I really like the art on it, but when I got it physically in hand, I realized the guidebook for it is very short. It just has sort of one sentence description for each card. And when I was new to tarot, I was like, this is not enough. Like I don't know what's happening. It also has plants, like different flowers and stuff depicted in the art, which again are very pretty and very cohesive across the deck. But it says nothing about what kind of plant it is. And as someone who's into like plants and gardening and sort of like things that plants are different and have different associations with them, that's pretty frustrating to me because I imagine the artist had intent with sort of what they created, but then sort of didn't like flow through to the guidebook. So that's like an example. Other ways you can find decks, of course, are search like a particular deck online. If you go to my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, you can check out any of the cards that I've pulled during these episodes from different decks. And I do my best to link the website where you can purchase any of the decks that I personally use. I usually get most like my decks now when I'm out and about, often traveling in different witchy stores. But a lot of times you can buy them direct from the artist online and have them shipped from you. If you're local to me in the greater Puget Sound area and come to one of my tarot meetups, one of my favorite things is to peruse other people's decks and get a feel for ones I might like to buy in the future that I really like the art of. It's really nice to be able to actually hold them and look through the whole deck, talk to someone about like their experience using that deck, and the guidebook that comes with it, and kind of see if you like it, if it feels like it has enough information for you, or again, sort of whatever you're looking for. It's one of my favorite things about the tarot meetups that I hold, is that we can all sort of bring decks that we like and get a feel for all of the different ones because there are so many decks. Even people I know that have 20, 30, 40 decks, right? Like there's so many. Even if you're a collector and really like tarot, there are going to be lots of decks that you've never seen before. All right. So yeah, that's kind of a intro to Oracle and Tarot. So let's dive in and see what the cards have to say today. So today I'm going to pull both a tarot card and an oracle card since we talked about both this episode. So for my tarot card, I'm going to pull from the Anima Mundi Tarot deck by Megan Wyrewenden. And again, I'll put links to these decks on my website and in the show notes if you want to check them out. All right, so let's see what card comes out here. All right, so I pulled the King of Cups, which in this deck depicts an orca whale jumping out of the water with kind of some snowy mountains behind it. There's actually a big cup in the air, a single cup, and then sort of stars in the background. The whale looks really big, and there's sort of like water splashing, so it has a very active like movement to the card. So the King of Cups is usually about sort of the master of keeping emotions in control. It's not necessarily that they like bottle up feelings, but that they have this perfect balance of feelings and intellect. So you can kind of pull from either one to find the right response to any situation. So this card's about being diplomatic and gracious with others without sort of running from your emotions. So we have to really face our emotions head on in order to process them. And then once we sort of process them, then that allows them to pass. Um, as Amelia and Emily Nagowski, two sisters, they speak about on their podcast, The Feminist Survival Project, you have to really go through the tunnel of emotions and come out on the other side. So often when we avoid or maybe like play ignorant to our emotions, the tunnel often just gets like longer and we can get lost under that mountain. Um, Honestly, I would say I feel a bit called out by this card because I actually talked about how it depicts an orca today with someone else that I met with earlier today. And the orca is really what I view as like daddy of the ocean, king. And lately I've been sort of confronting this idea in my personal life of not shying away from my emotions, but also finding this way to remain diplomatic and gracious with others. So I know for me, when I'm kind of like not processing my emotions, I can swing from like graciously listening to someone to like quickly annoyed and frustrated. um, but I often stay silent, or maybe in the scenarios I'm thinking of right now, that's kind of what happens. So sometimes what looks like from the outside that I'm graciously listening is that actually me being silent, and I'm like internally fuming and becoming resentful. So I'm actually working on learning how to identify my emotions earlier in the process and to pause before I get overwhelmed and resentful. So I guess, yeah, to me, this card kind of calls to where in your life can you practice kind of mastering your emotions? Is there a boundary you need to set so that you don't get to that point of kind of like moodiness or resentment, like I'm talking about? All right. So for the Oracle card, I only have one Oracle deck, so that's the one I'll be pulling from. And that one is the Wild Kuan Yin Oracle. It's the Velvet Goddess Edition by Alana Fairchild. Yeah, and today I pulled the card that is number 11, the Princess of Red Poppies. And it depicts a girl or a woman, I'm not quite sure, up in the air. It's very colorful. And then most of the space of the card, like the image, is showing this like white bull or cow kind of like frolicking. It looks like they're like on the beach. I see like sand and then sort of like an ocean or water scene in the background. This deck comes with like an extensive book. It like literally looks like a chapter book that has like 5 to 10 pages of description per card. So I'm not going to read you all that's in there right now. Again, if you want to check out this deck or buy it, I'll have the link as to where you can go, the artist that created this. Um, but yeah, I'll pull out kind of some gems from the book and sort of what I see, and yeah, speak to what speaks to me in the collective today. So the first thing when I open the book, it sort of has like a paragraph in italics for this card, and it says, I dwell in an expansive reality beyond time and space, where the past has been, the future is yet to be, and what stretches out in all directions with unlimited potential is this living, radiant moment. I bring you the gift of expanded perception, of freedom from the past, and an ability to simply be happy in the here and now, whilst my heartfelt blessings are drawing sweet success into your future. This is a very like warm deck, I would say. It's very, again, like heartfelt. So this sort of language like does not surprise me at all. Um, the Oracle of the Princess of Red Poppies brings a message. It says the past is well and truly behind you now. Whilst there may be memories that arise, they might be fond or painful. The emotional charge that these hold for you is fading away and will soon be reduced to nothing. So I'm sort of curious what comes to mind when I say that. I know for me, when I kind of pulled this card, it actually made me think about the prior card, the King of Cups that I pulled. Because the message I'm receiving is that I can become the master of my emotions. I don't actually need to worry about having trouble, maybe setting boundaries in the past, but that I am healing. And right now I'm setting the intention, right, to practice allowing my emotions to come up and process them in the moment instead of sort of stewing or maybe obsessing over them without saying anything at all. In the past, I used to think that not sharing my opinion or discomfort with someone or something was maybe like noble. And now I see that often, really, I did that out of fear. Instead of giving someone the opportunity to engage with me about a topic or maybe uncomfortable situation in the moment, I would take days, weeks, months, even years to face the emotions that came up for me in a situation. And this led me to have a sort of a backlog of like undealt with emotions that I'm currently working through. So, in this Oracle deck, under the description for each card, they also offer a healing process to work through challenges with this topic. So, for this card, the healing process says if you have any unfinished business with a person, place, or thing, you may like to begin this process by writing a letter to them that you do not send. This will give you a chance to express any or all feelings that you have toward them or a situation in the past. Use it as a chance to express honestly and safely anything and everything you wish. When your letter feels complete, you can destroy it in any way you like, tearing it up, burning it, burying it, throwing it away in a public trash can, or any of your chosen methods. So if you choose to write a letter, you can maybe pause this and do that now, or you can always come back before kind of this next part. And when you finish your letter writing, say the following prayer aloud if possible. I call upon the wild Kuan Yin, princess of the poppies, who loves me unconditionally. I ask for your help, your love, and your grace. Please protect me from slipping into unnecessary attachment to the past, reliving old wounds or experiences when that is no longer helpful for my growth. Please help me let go and accept the gracious gift of freedom and karmic liberation from past suffering. I choose to live my life in this moment, accepting the gifts you are bringing me, including relaxation, joy, well being, and insight. I thank you for these blessings and for the gifts of success that my future holds. Please help me see through the eye within my heart to see truthfully and with love, to see in a way that helps liberate me from attachment to what must be released. Help me be open to receive the blessings being bestowed upon me and that will continue to bless me in the future. Through my own free will and your divine grace, so be it. Once you've finished your healing process, you can, wrap that up. Wow, we really kind of got deep today, these cards that came up. I know I shared some personal stuff for me. Just sort of as it came up. So thanks for joining me on our little healing journey that we took today. So again, links to both of the decks that I talked about will be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. And if you ever want to check out any of the episode notes or an image of the card I pulled today, you can go to CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.